to. It's at St. John's, just a block away. Please join us there for some food and drinks. And Pat, this is for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That was amazing.
Thanks.
Wow.
Amazing.
What did you do for your honeymoon?
You're on it. This is it.
Film festival honeymoon.
Film festival honeymoons. Yeah.
Did you have a favorite of all of your
Wedding?
Yeah.
Golly, they all were so really beautiful. I did. There was so much serendipity and so many blessings that came along. Like you saw Harry and Star Henricks in Iowa. Total strangers to us that just said, "Come have your gay Jewish wedding here in our basement," and I'm an ex-Lutheran minister, by the way. So those blessings that came up. So Iowa is a particular favorite of mine. I love the California wedding. We had planned to hike into a redwood forest that was adjacent to Stephen and Dominic's house. Well, we woke up that morning, it was 52 degrees and raining. So Dominic, who is a yoga instructor, we went to his yoga studio and we had puffy cushions and Buddhas and chimes and music, and it was all just a more perfect road in this contained space. So, every obstacle that arose, it was just God saying, "Look over there, something better." So.
I love the ring there in California as well.
Sophie, we love Sophie, yeah.
When you decided to do this wedding tour, did you know that you were going to make a feature-length film out of it as well? Did they sort of happen at the same time? Or
It kind of. It was. We had several iterations in our minds of how to celebrate our 25th anniversary, and one of as it came up, we were going to just have a wedding, just a regular old wedding. Circumstances came up that prevented that idea from really coming to fruition. And finally, on a goof at a party, Stephen said, "We should just go everywhere and get married everywhere it's legal." And I said, "And then we'll sue the United States government for what we had to do and force them into marriage equality." But that seed got planted, and we just then sat down one evening with Marcy shortly thereafter and planned the whole wedding tour. And then as we were going to bed that night, I said, this might make an interesting film, wouldn't it?
Sure
Let's
did.
figure out how to do that.
And how did George Takei get involved with this?
Takei.
Sorry.
That's so Takei. He's particular about it.
I'm more Star Wars than Star Trek. Personal preference?
Okay, we won't hold your preferences against you.
Thanks.
We submitted to a lot of famous voices and were turned down by a lot as well. And George, Alan's manager had a contact with George's manager, aka Brad, his husband, and submitted it to him, and they both really, really enjoyed the film. And through just a process of negotiations, George came on board, and he did that narration one day in LA.
Nice. Professional.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let's open this up to some questions from the audience. Right over here.
What was it like talking to your family about filming in their homes?
What was it like talking to my family about filming in their homes? It was complicated. John, Stephen's father, agreed to lifestyle shots, but he would not appear on camera. He wouldn't be interviewed or have any significant discussions in front of the camera at all. And that's not, please don't think that we demonize any member of our family at all. Steve and I love John, and their relationship is fine. This was just one of those humps he couldn't get over. Talking to my family, talking to Jeff, and Wanda had to convince Jeff to let us come into the home, but he did ultimately sign releases. He did sit for an interview that is not in the film. So it all ironed out eventually. And like you saw, Jeff's children were, when we first told them, your Uncle Steve and I are getting married, they're like, "Oh, great." And young people don't. They're like, so the battle's already won. Because the 70% of young people 18 and under are either for it or don't care. So battle's over, really. We just have to wait for them to move into power, I guess.
Right here.
So if the results of next month's voting is good, are you planning 3 more weddings?
Are we planning 3 more weddings? Yes, absolutely. We are not going to stop. We had hoped that the festival, Rondelay, and the referendums would magically meet up together, and Stephen and I could maybe even get married right here tonight, but that's timing's not going to happen there. But yes, we will continue. Absolutely.
Back there.
So I thought that the map said that Connecticut also had legal gay marriage.
Yes, somebody's paying attention. We were married in Connecticut. There's a brief line in George's narration where he says that we eloped quietly to Connecticut in 2009, and that's what happened. We had been making plans for this wedding to happen in 2011, and then an actress of our acquaintance had an accident and died. And in 2009, Stephen said, anything can happen. I don't want to wait anymore. Can we please just do this now? So we just slipped off quietly. So it wasn't anything like the wedding services that you saw here, which is why it's not really germane to the film, other than to say that's what we did. Right there?
So I actually had the same idea. We couldn't figure out how to fund it. So props to you guys for actually executing it. How did you fund it?
Maxed out credit cards, and I mean, we did things very much on the cheap. Our expenses were renting the vans that took a dozen of our friends to the various places that we went. Friends really came forward. Like, we got to Iowa because a friend of ours, anybody who reads the blog Steve on Broadway, anybody read that blog, Steve on Broadway? No. He and his partner gave us their frequent flyer miles to get us to Iowa. And then another pair of friends, another gay couple in California, gave us their frequent flyer miles to get us to California. So it just all happened, just loads and loads of blessings that just kept coming towards us on this. So, but yeah, max out credit cards and just lots of praying.
It's a good point, and if you look at the polls, Washington, Maryland, and Maine are surging compared to a previous era. Do you want to speculate about the possibility of 3 states legalizing marriage?
My speculation is that it's looking pretty good. We just have to keep the pressure up and keep it going. I think that you guys are probably closest here in Washington. I think Maryland kind of has a ways to go, and Maine even further to go. But does that answer your question?
Well, except Maine, since I can't believe every person there hasn't heard 5 years of discussion, and since they're being polled based upon the real knowledge of the issue, I think Maine is a slam dunk.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Small state, they all know each other, they've been talking about for 5 years.
Right. And Stephen King is for it, so wow.
Well, we keep hearing that these kinds of stories, spark conversations that change people's hearts and minds. I mean, have you seen, that in action with your film, taking this around the country? Have you seen, the impact that it's made on people?
Yeah, to a degree. I mean, as far as the festivals go, I mean, here's the choir, and we're talking to all of them. But people who have encountered the film, people from my past, like from my Texas roots, who have encountered things like the trailer and so forth, or that actually made the trip down to Boston, Gay and Lesbian last week, they came to me and said, I didn't really understand until now. I didn't know the people that I went to high school with. Austin Gay and Lesbian was interesting because that was the first time that we had actual family members, including my mother-in-law, come to see the film. To tell you a story, my mother-in-law was sitting next to, Stephen was here, she's sitting here, and my mother-in-law doesn't cry unless somebody drops something heavy on her. And so we're sitting there, and right about the time we get to the Washington, D.C. wedding, she turns to Stephen, not whispering, "Pat is such a crybaby." People 2 rows back and 4 rows in front fell apart. And I'm like, "Thanks, Ma. Thanks so much."
So just the trailer alone is having that impact. And my husband told me a story tonight. He, just telling him about a Trader Joe's checker about this movie was enough for them to say, "Okay, you've got my vote for 74. That sounds amazing." So,
Wow, that's incredible.
one tagline at a time. One more question right here.
Speaking of Juana, I want to use her Bible quote on Facebook, so I want to credit it as her last name, Mosher.
Mosher.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
That was a good
Tell
one.
her I'm going to do that.
And I will, totally. And friend me, please, and everybody, please, feel free to friend me, Stephen Mosher, Married and Counting. You can also follow us on Twitter. It's 8 Weddings, the number 8 Weddings. And vote for us here for Audience Awards. This festival awards are my pageant crown surrogates.
And let's get 74 approved so Pat and Steven can come back and tie the knot here. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll see you over at St. John's.